What's going on? What's going on, players? How are you guys doing? You excited for today? I know I am. I have my beverage ready and prepared, but let's give it a few seconds. Let other people get joined in. Sima, do you want to come say hi? Bento wants to say hi? Okay. Come here. No? You just want to bite me? Okay. That's fine. Alright, I see some people are getting in there. Alright. Let's go ahead and begin. But before we begin today's lesson, I would like to offer you a very special chance to do something that you've never been able to do before. And that is to take today and make it the very best day of your entire life. Look, Bento's excited. You see that tail going? He knows. He's excited because he knows what's coming. You might, but if you really want to take today, if you want to take this lesson, if you want to take your whole life in general to the highest possible level, if you would like to join me on Cloud 9 and be the happiest person alive, well, there's one way to do that. And all you need to do is find yourself some sort of beverage vessel, something to drink. I have a Duck Duck Goose, a nice Goose Island drink, an adult beverage of choice. And you should lift it now with me as we join together for the inimitable Cheers with Chaps. Cheers, boys. Delicious, I tell you. Fantastic. All right, so let's jump into today's lesson. Today, I'm going to be teaching you guys about how to actually date 9s and 10s. What's it really like? Now, this topic idea came to me because the other night I was out in Hongdae with, boys, cut it out. I was out in Hongdae with Rich, who has just recently arrived back into Korea. Now, you may know Rich. Oh, hey there. What's going on the gaming shelf? How are you, buddy? Morning coffee for you. Evening beer for me. It's 10 p.m. over here. So, I was out with Rich, and we were in a bar in Thursday Party out in Hongdae. And we saw these two beautiful girls sitting at a table by themselves. So, I went over. I opened them up, introduced myself. We sat down. We started talking. Everything was going great. We're having a good time. Now, Rich and I, you may not know this, are old motherfuckers. And then here we are, chatting up these two 21, 22-year-old girls who are at least 9s. And everything was going perfectly well. But to me, that didn't stand out as anything special or anything out of the ordinary. However, then these Korean guys got it into their heads that they wanted to come over and try to steal the girls away from us. So they came in being rowdy, being annoying, trying to lean on the table, trying to physically shove us out of the space to try and get these girls away. How do you think that went for them? Well, some of you guys might be thinking to yourself, oh, Papa Jack, I can't imagine you started a fight or anything like that over these girls. No, definitely not. Of course not. What kind of amateur do you think I am? No. Instead, I just sat back, let them have enough rope to hang themselves with, and watched it unfold as three of them, unceremoniously got straight up rejected by both girls. And these guys were out of their minds. They were trying to hit on one girl, and then whenever she rejected them, they moved to the other girl at the same table. It was like an assembly line of rejection happening. And I thought to myself, now, if these younger, better looking, more fit guys aren't able to do the things that I am doing, what's the difference? Is it racism? Probably not. Probably not. I think it's more to do with they didn't have the knowledge, the skills, the temperament. They didn't know what they were doing. Instead, they just said, oh, hot thing. Oh, me want fuck hot thing. Ha ha. And so they went and they tried their luck. They went to shoot their shot and failed miserably at it because they had no idea what they were doing. So, to prevent you guys from ever having that problem, I have created a list of 5 key principles that you always need to keep in mind whenever you want to meet or date the most beautiful women. If you want to meet and date 9s and 10s, you need to keep these 5 principles in mind. Let's go through them. The first one, her looks don't matter. That one is as simple as it seems on its face, but a lot of you are thinking something like, but Papa Jack, we're only here because her looks do matter. Because they're 9s or 10s, that's why we need to know what to do. Yeah, I get that. I totally understand. But her looks don't matter. And that's exactly how you have to act. Like her looks don't matter. Like it's not that important to you. You don't have to call her ugly. You don't have to bring her down. Nothing like that. No, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is you can say, oh yeah, if she asks about it or if she says something about it, yeah, you're a very pretty girl. You're a very attractive woman. Okay, so what? Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't add anything to the conversation. It doesn't add anything to who you are as a person. And that's not why I'm here. I mean, it might be what drew me here in the first place, but that's it. That's all. Her looks don't matter. And if you act like they do matter, if you act like you're impressed by her looks, by her appearance, if you're commenting on it, if you're saying something like, wow, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Okay. Might be true. Might even be congruent for you. But what is that saying? Where is that putting you in this conversation? And I'm not talking about weird hierarchy, conceptual stuff of sexual dynamics and things like that. I'm talking about actually, where does it put you in the conversation? It puts you at step 1, and then you're stuck there, right? Because you're stuck on her looks. You're not focusing on anything else. You're not talking to her about other things. You are only there for the looks, just like everyone else. Now, does she want to date everyone else? No. So, if you want her to date you, you need to be different from everyone else. How do you do that? Her looks don't matter. So, to exactly the point of the story that I was talking about the other night, whenever I first walked over to the table and I sat down with them, we started chatting just a little bit at first, right? Some of my basic openers, just, if you guys haven't heard my super secret best opener in the whole wide world yet, here it is. But shh, don't tell anyone. Hey, I'm Jack. What's your name? Yeah, start with, some really, really hard-hitting stuff. I sat down with them and we started chatting a little bit. And I looked at one of the girls and I said, I bet I can guess your job. She said, no, I don't think you can. What is it? And I said, you're a model. She's like, wow, yeah, that's right. And I was like, told you I could. Anyway, and then moved on to the next topic because I wanted to acknowledge what it was. You're a hot girl. I'm fairly certain that you're a model because, the way that she's dressed, the way that she's made up, it's a particular style. And if you've seen enough models in person, like in real life, then you can kind of pick that thing out fairly quickly. The same way that if you saw someone who was in the military, you can pick them out rather quickly. But just because I have shaved hair doesn't mean that I look like I'm in the military, if that makes sense. So that's it. You acknowledge it. You call it out. You say, yep, here's the thing. I know what it is. You know that I know. Now, let's move on. So what I've done in that situation is I've said, I am acknowledging that you're hot. I understand that you're a model. I'm not that impressed. I think it's cool. It's a great job. have to work really hard. It's not as easy as most people think that it is, and they work ridiculous hours a lot of the time. But doesn't matter. That's not what I'm here to talk about, because her looks don't matter. The fact that she's a model doesn't matter. And by the way, this thing, her looks don't matter, that also goes for all other aspects of these interview question type things. For example, if she tells you that she's a lawyer or something like that. Okay, I mean, first of all, if you're impressed by that, whoo, you've never met a lawyer. But second, don't be impressed by whatever her job is, unless it's something like truly amazing, like an astronaut, right? Fun story, in that situation, when I did meet an astronaut, I didn't believe her at all. And I told her, I was like, yeah, right, if you're an astronaut, I'm the Queen of England. Not even going to accept that. She had no reason to lie to me, but it just felt like the right move at the time, and it worked out well. So, her looks don't matter. Her general status, things like that, doesn't matter. You don't need to obsess over that. You don't need to validate her over these things. She already knows them. It's not like she doesn't know what she looks like. That's why she dresses and puts on makeup the way that she does. So you need to treat it the same way. Acknowledge it, understand it, cool, move on. It's not important. Next, practice good value matching. Value matching is essentially it's the idea that you and her need to bring the same, or you bring more to the table in any kind of interaction or relationship. Now, for a lot of guys, they go for, right, you're going to be pretty, I'm going to have money. Perfectly fine, because they're balancing each other out and they're matching their value. That is a perfectly acceptable form of value matching. Now, what some guys will like to do in this kind of situation is, rather than bringing their value up to her level, they will try to bring hers down by trying to insult her intelligence, or say, oh, she's not really that hot, or things like that. Or ideas like negging, where it's like, oh, I need to knock her down a peg. Why? Why not bring yourself up to her level? Okay, you can do that in a variety of ways, but the most important thing to do here is, and this is especially for you guys who are newer to game and to dating and to meeting women, the most important thing here is that you need to understand what it is that you're bringing to the table. If you want to date nines and tens, that's fine, but you need to also bring something that is equal or greater value to the table for the relationship to work. If she is bringing everything to the table and you're bringing nothing, then it's not a good value match. And she's going to next you, just like she did with all of those Korean guys. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, well, Papa Jack, I see you. What value did you bring to this table of two nines that they wanted to stay there and hang out with you and Rich for the whole night instead of, like anyone else in the bar? Good question. It's a fair question. Whenever you're practicing good value matching, whenever you're bringing your value up, you need to figure out what it is that you can and want to actually bring up and change about yourself. So, for me, I could try to max out my looks as best I can. Unfortunately, because of my age, that ceiling is shrinking every year. So why would I put a lot of time and effort and energy into maximizing that part of my value when it's going to have significantly diminishing returns over the next several years and moving on into the future, right? It's not getting better from here. Why would I do that when instead I can maximize other ways of bringing value, such as entertainment? and personality. And that's really what I bring whenever I'm talking with girls is I bring fun. I bring energy. Things that other guys don't because they don't have the personalities. They don't have the temperaments because they're just there looking to get their dick wet and nothing else. And I'm actually out to just have a great time, maybe meet some cool people, maybe take some contact details, but I'm not there to try and stick my pecker in her tonight. So then I'm not focused on the looks bit. And instead, I'm bringing actual personality, actual entertainment, actual conversation. We had great talks. The girls stuck around with us for about 3 hours or so. They even skipped their last train just to hang out with us. Why? Because we actually brought value that they felt was greater than what they were bringing to the table and was better than going home to go to bed. So that is what I mean by good value matching. You need to recognize that she's bringing a lot of value to the table. Whenever you see a girl who's out and she's a 9 or a 10, you need to understand that that's not how they wake up in the morning. That's not what they look like, right? I mean, the some of the features are the same, the bone structure is the same, things like that. But what you're seeing is hours of a carefully applied physical filter, essentially, to make her look the way that she looks. You're not seeing all of the work that went into it on the front end, all of the makeup, all the outfit choosing, all the this, that, and all the other bullshit. That, I mean, all guys know that it takes women forever to get ready, and this is why. Because they put a lot of value in their looks. Because we put a lot of value in their looks. So, if she's putting in a lot of effort to bring her value up, she is expecting the same of you. You need to be putting in your effort to bring your value up rather than trying to knock her down or trying to elbow your way in past some old white dudes to try and amog the group and right? Like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Instead, you need to actually be better and bring yourself up. Only then do you have a good chance of actually dating these 9s and 10s. If your value is still down here, that might be because you're young, because you haven't figured things out yet, because you don't yet know what you're doing, you don't know how to do it well. That's fine. It's fine. It's not a knock on you, but it is a realistic situation. If you are not at least a 9 or a 10 in some aspect of yourself, and no, your level 9 D&D wizard does not count as a 9. That's not what I'm talking about, and you fucking know it. If you're not at least a 9 or a 10 in some aspect of your life, then why does she want to be with you? So think about that. Realize what value it is that you are bringing to the table for her so that it can match her level or be greater. Next. Calm, cool, collected. This is the easiest one to understand mentally and the most difficult one to apply, especially for guys who are new to dating. You need to not lose your shit just because she's hot. You need to not treat her differently just because she's hot. What you need to do is you need to treat her the same way that you treat everybody else. She's a person. She's a human. She's a girl. Okay, so what? That's it. She happens to be an exceptionally pretty girl. All right, cool. She hit the genetic lottery. Awesome. Good for her. That's it. This kind of ties back to the beginning where I told you her looks don't matter. But this part is the part where you have to you have to actually show that the looks don't matter. This is the really tricky part with this, though, is that you have to show, not tell. You can never tell a girl, oh, I don't care that you're pretty. Yeah, I mean, I've seen better. Jesus, like, I've seen guys try to do this thing of telling but not showing in this way. And it does not work. It does not work. Instead, you have to stay calm, cool, and collected. You have to treat her just like all of your other girls. You may have heard me say this before, and it's one of my favorite sayings, especially when dealing with the hottest girls, which is treat your nines like sixes and treat your sixes like nines, and they will both love you more for it. This is critical. Just because she's a nine doesn't mean you start to treat her like she's the queen of the world and everything you do revolves around her. And like, don't be that guy. Instead, be the guy who's coolly unimpressed. I'm not saying be an asshole, but be somewhat aloof about it. You need to retain your cool demeanor that you have whenever you're talking to girls that you're less attracted to. This is critical. Now, if you're well practiced, if you've been out and you've been doing all of your approaches, like you learn how to do exactly, like step by step of every single thing to do, you learn every step of how to do this inside of the Girlfriend Accelerator course, which you can find over at realjacknorth.com. But if you've been out there and you've been doing your approaches, if you're well practiced, you know how to have your conversations. You have your routines down. You have all of the different parts of the conversation down. You know the 5 different parts of the conversation and how to actually lead each one to the next one. Then this is simple. This is the easiest thing in the world. I mean, just the other night, that was exactly what I did. Is I just saw them and I opened them the exact same way I would have opened a table of 2 5s in the same situation. Because it doesn't matter. Because the looks don't matter. But more importantly, because you treat it the same, you stay calm, cool, and collected. You don't lose your shit. You don't start fanboying out over, oh, but you're so pretty. Oh, will you please, just a little kiss on the cheek, please. Oh, right. Like you don't do that because you already know what you're doing. You're not having to make it up on the fly. You're not going crazy. Instead, you're just doing the same thing that you always do, and you're doing it well because you've been trained well and because you've practiced well. So, her looks don't matter. You must stay calm, cool, and collected. Next, social skills are king. I don't care how good you look. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care about any of that stuff. If you don't have the social skills, the ability to carry on a fun and interesting conversation, the ability to banter back and forth with her, to have a good time, to lightly tease, to do just basic level flirting, then it's gonna be a blowout no matter what. I've seen guys who are millionaires get shot down by 6s at bars because they didn't have the social skills that they needed to go along with the money. The money doesn't matter, just like the looks don't matter. Do you really think that these girls, these 9s and 10s, do you really think that they are not being approached by other similarly attractive men and other similarly wealthy or well-off people? Like, of course they are. Of course they are. So, what's the difference between the guys who get it and the guys who don't? It's social skills, and it's all social skills. So, if you can't carry on a conversation, if you can't lead her in a good way, in a strong way, in a way that makes sense, that makes her say, wow, I'm having a blast. I can't believe it's already been 3 hours. Holy crap. We missed our trains because we're just having so much fun. This is incredible. If you can't make those things happen, then you need to be working on them. You need to be practicing those skills because those are ultimately the only difference between the guys who get it and the guys who don't. The guys who get the girl and the guys who go home with their dick in their hand, the difference is not the looks. It's not the money. It's definitely not the style. Look at me. What is it then? It's all social skills. It's all in your ability to lead a conversation well and have fun, to help her have fun. That is the key. So before you go off saying, okay, well, all that I have to do is just hit the gym every single day, and then maybe like a little bit of man makeup, and maybe like make sure that I sculpt my chest hair into a heart for her, or some weird shit like that. Before you do that, realize that if you don't maximize your social skills first, none of that other stuff will matter. I mean, it will matter in so far as if you want to date down. So if you can make yourself into a 9 and you want to date 7s, you're set. You're set. Then none of the other stuff matters, right? Like you can just be man meat. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to actually date these girls, then you're gonna need to have those social skills intact. Not just intact, but at the top level. The good news is that social skills are infinitely learnable because you can't change a lot of your physical traits. You can't change I mean, I guess you could try to change your bone structure a bit, but not really. Not without turning yourself into like an alien. But you can't change your height. You can change your financial status, but finances don't actually matter nearly as much as most men think that they do. What you can change, though, quickly and easily, because you can learn it, is social skills. You can learn how to deal with people. You can learn how to be funny and witty, how to lead a conversation well, how to be able to make a solid point about something that's important to you in a way that's going to make her laugh, but also be like, damn, he's right. Oh, this guy knows what's going on. Okay, cool. That is the gift that is learning your social skills, which, by the way, you can learn inside of the Dating Accelerator course over at realjacknorth.com. Next up, this one is the most difficult by far. You are going to have to kill your jealousy and your ego. This one, you guys have heard me talk about this before, about killing your ego, about viewing your ego as your enemy, because it is. Your ego absolutely is your enemy in almost every single way that it can possibly be. But your ego is absolutely going to destroy you, and jealousy is what destroys most relationships with the hottest women. You need to understand from the get-go what her situation is. She is literally going through life every day, swimming through just a sea of dicks being thrown at her from every angle. They're trying to slide into her DMs on Instagram. They're trying to approach her on the street. They're trying to chat her up at the bar. Even while she's talking with you, they're trying to find her. They're trying to meet her at work. They're trying to weasel their way in one way or another. Of course they are, because she is a hot commodity. Guys who get jealous easily, especially over things like that, understand this. Jealousy is a very stinky cologne, and it doesn't look good on anyone. Now, there are times when a little bit of calculated jealousy to maybe make a point or to encourage certain behaviors or discourage other ones, it can definitely be a useful tool. But jealousy that is not in your control, jealousy that is Simba, stop. Jealousy that, God damn it, Simba, come here, Simba. Jealousy that is not in your control, jealousy that is as loose as rage is when you just lose it and you can't help it. That is the ugliest thing in the world, especially on a guy who's trying to come off as confident, as congruent, as calm, cool, and collected. That is the opposite. So if you're actually going to date these girls, not meet them and then fuck them and then you just take your turn and okay, who's next, right? Not that. If you want to actually date them for any kind of relationship, you're going to need to put your jealousy away. Absolutely kill it. Same thing with your ego. You're going to need to understand there's going to be a lot of weird shit that goes on because if you're not also one of the beautiful people, then the way that they live their life and the things that happen to them are completely different from the way that us normies live our lives. Like things that you could never imagine happening ever are just commonplace for them. They're standing in line at Starbucks to get a coffee. And then some guy just says, hey, let me buy your coffee for you. Oh, okay, thanks. And then that's it. And then they just go on about their day. They get shit for free, like without asking for it, with no reason. Just like, oh, here's the thing. People just give them stuff. People just do things for them. People offer services and goods to them for free. Why? Because they're pretty and we like them. We like just being in the presence of pretty people. If you have an ego that's going to be shattered by the reality that, like, oh, well, I think I'm a 9, but I don't get anything like that. Okay, well, you'd better kill that ego fast because it's going to absolutely ruin you if you let your ego and your jealousy control you. Plus, it will completely ruin your relationship. So, if you want to actually date these girls, you must kill the jealousy, you must kill the ego, and you must follow these 5 key principles so that you can meet, attract, and actually date 9s and 10s. This is what it's really like on the ground. It's not easy, but if it were easy, everyone would do it, and they can't, right? So, up your game. Here you go, man. Now you know what to do. Go do it. If you want a little bit more guidance than that, if you're not sure, like, okay, I hear you, Jack. I see these principles, right? But like, how do I actually apply that in my life? Great news. You can learn exactly how to do that today at realjacknorth.com. You can go over there and you can sign up for the Girlfriend Accelerator video course where I teach you all of this stuff step by step, every single aspect of it, no matter where you currently are in your dating life. And I'm going to train you in a way that's going to help you get a girlfriend who you really love and who really loves you as quick as possible. And you can get started on that today. So if you want to know how to apply this in your life, go over there right now, sign up for the course, and I'll see you inside. Now, let's move on to this week's Q&A session. Bringing in the kid and Paul. How are you boys doing?
Good.
Doing pretty all right.
Good. Paul, have you heard anything from Caesar?
Yeah, I talked to him earlier today.
I did too earlier, and like I don't know where he is. But anyway, let's just go ahead and jump in. The kid.
Yeah.
How are you, big guy? You
I'm
okay?
doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. Good morning.
Good. Yeah. All right. The kid actually got to choose today's topic, which was very serendipitous because I happened to have exactly that experience just 2 days ago. So that worked out rather nicely. Good pick, the kid.
Okay, well, I'm glad it worked out. It was like 11 p.m. I was like, Jack hasn't said the topic. I need to make a thumbnail before I sleep.
Yeah, this week has been really weird here because Monday was a holiday and Friday is a holiday. And so everything in the middle of the week all got like canceled or moved or just people didn't go to it. And so like even my adult classes and stuff and even my coaching from guys overseas, that has nothing to do with Korea, and everybody's just canceled everything all week. And so I don't know. I actually forgot it was Thursday. And so whenever you messaged me about the topic, I was like, well, what? Is that already? Oh God. Okay. Apologies for that, but yeah, it all worked out beautifully.
Yeah, worked out well. Worked out well.
Yeah.
So yeah, before the first question today,
Hmm.
I guess we'll just start kind of what's been maybe like more so Paul's experience when he's trying to date the nines and tens.
Yeah, I would say a lot of what Jack says is 100% true. Like you need to leave you need to leave the jealousy and the ego at the door. Like you can't allow that to leave the bed in the morning if you're gonna date them. The other thing I would say is you need to be very real with yourself for what you accept. Because nines and tens, they are gonna shit test you in way different ways than other girls will. In addition to that, kinda they will expect you to kind of be a yes man, because that's what they're used to for a lot of the cases. So they are used to getting away with so much shit. So you need to be really, really strict with yourself going into that type of dating. Like, okay, this is what's acceptable, this is not acceptable, and then you need to speak your mind, and you just have to be dead serious the whole way.
Mm.
Um, and I can say that from experience. I had this. She's probably somewhere between a 9 and a 10. She's really, really hot, and we're going on this date, and then she cancels or tries to move it the first time. I say, okay, I'll give you the first one. You'll get to reschedule once. And then the next time, yeah, could we move it to another place? I have to go there anyway. And then it's like, okay, then I know what you're doing. Right now, you're just wanting to move closer to where all your friends are. So in case the date goes badly, you have a way out. Right. And then just be really strict with what is acceptable, what is not, what type of behavior is okay. Because these type of girls are used to getting away with a lot more than six and sevens do.
That's really interesting, and I I actually hadn't considered that, but that is definitely a true thing. Maybe uh, how you deal with shit tests and things like that is it's very important, but it becomes much easier when you are actually completely congruent. And so for me, like in the example that you gave, right, where it's like, oh, can we move it to this place? And I'd be like, oh, no, but if you can't make it, that's cool. I'm not worried about it. But this is where I'm going to be. Like, I'm going to be in Hongdae anyway. Are you coming or not? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
in my
fine.
case, it was the other way. We'd set up the thing for a wine bar in another place because, like, okay, this is a hotter girl, so let's take it to a place where I am 100% comfortable. I know
Mm,
everything, and I know one very important thing. In this place, we get to be alone.
mm, right,
And then she wanted to move it into Hongdae because that's where she normally hangs out and that's where all her
right.
friends are. And I'm like, not happening.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think that
And then and then the
what.
thing was, and then she started kind of like being. Then she gets upset about it to try make you change your mind, and then you just have to go like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, like why
Yeah, exactly.
why would you want me to change my mind when this is what we agreed on?
Yeah, exactly.
No, on top of that, like the way that I view everything in dating is like I'm living a fucking awesome life and I'm having a great time. If you want, you can come along with that. You have an invitation. You've got a ticket to ride, but that doesn't mean you get to take that ticket to a different roller coaster, right? Like this is the roller coaster. That's what the ticket is for. You don't get to take
Yeah,
the roller coaster ticket over to the Ferris wheel. It's not how this works. We're doing the thing that I want to do because this is what I said I was doing. Or if we've agreed on something, can you two please stop? Or if we've agreed on something, then That's just what it is. And like, I'm not changing my plans. If you want to change it, that's fine. You can go off, do your thing. I'm not too worried about it. And I feel that, at least in my experience, telling a girl, especially a really hot girl, like, oh, no, I'm not going to change anything. But if you want to, go ahead. I don't mind. Right? Where you are signaling very strongly that, like, I really don't need you, and I definitely don't need any of this bullshit. So if you want to come along, love to have you. But if you're just going to bring bullshit along, nah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, you really need to have that mentality of that, okay, I don't give a shit.
Mm.
Like, you need to be in control of yourself and in control of your emotions in a way that you have to be basically nonchalant to whatever happens. Like, you have to be in control and you have to stick to your plan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, 100%. And I mean, it's that way with everything, right? Like, if you had plans to meet a guy friend, and then he was like, "Oh, sorry, man, I can't do that there. Can we move it to the other side of the city?" You'd be like, "What? No." Like, what are you talking about? No, absolutely not. Right? Unless they're providing something to make up for it, or they're saying like, "Okay, I understand that this is what we were planning, but I just found out that it's topless ladies drink free night at Thursday party, so we should really go to that instead," right? Like, if they're offering something better, or something to be like, right, I'm sorry, like, I got caught up with this thing, so here, tell you what, I'll buy dinner for both of us, but like, we got to meet somewhere else. There are some negotiations that can be had there, but girls never offer that. So she's just demanding things with no offer of anything to make up for it. Like, then why would you listen to it? Doesn't make any sense. Next question, the kid.
Yeah. So next question is, have you guys noticed like any noticeable differences between like Western 9s and 10s versus Korean ones?
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Okay. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is that the Asian 9s and 10s, they are more calm than the Westerners. Like, when you see your Western 9s and 10s, they are full on bitch 24/7, right? Not to offend anyone, but at least that's what their exterior like attitude seems like.
Yeah.
While Koreans or Asians in general have this thing, even if they know they're hot, they kind of take a little step back and kind of still remain a lot calmer, at least in general. Of course, there are same batshit crazy girls all over the world. But in my opinion, that was the biggest difference. They might not be as realistic to how good they actually look in a lot of cases. And then you have, of course, your models and everyone. They are exactly like everyone else, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I found that definitely the ones in Korea and in Asia generally are much more approachable, and they're much nicer. Even nicer is the wrong word. They're more gracious. Even if you're just approaching them and they're like super not interested, right? But thank you. Like, I appreciate it, right? Okay, that's fine, right? Like, they're nicer. They don't usually give the like, ah, as if whatever, or like some stupid shit
Yeah,
like that.
calmer. Like,
Yeah,
they are more relaxed about how good
yeah,
they look compared to what Westerners are.
yeah. Well, it. I think that a lot of it also has to do with the fact that, at least over here, the culture surrounding the hottest people is like, they always have just a full on they have to be the nicest fucking people in the world here. Whenever you look at like the actors and actresses, whenever you look at all of the girl groups and the boy groups and stuff, they're all super nice, super gracious, very, very friendly, very congenial to everyone, because the public image is the most important aspect of their jobs. And people will turn on them in an instant if they even have one bad day, which also is a little bit unfair. But because of the culture surrounding it, that's just part of the gig. Whereas in the West, it's just bitch fest all the time, right? Like any of the famous people, any of the beautiful people, they're absolutely not having it. Whereas here, they're basically all trained to just be Keanu Reeves forever. And like, great, that's awesome. Even if it's not really deep, it's still an important cultural thing that they are trained to act that way. I think that's an important difference in the personality. Like I feel like a blowout from a 7 would be way worse than a blowout from a 10 over here.
Yeah,
Just because of
for
the like
sure.
I mean in the way that they would act, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of just part of the thing. Another thing to remember is, and Paul kind of briefly touched on this earlier, is that basically the Asians get an instant +2 in our minds because we're so used to what girls look like in the West. And so when we get here and we see what they view as a 6, we see an 8, right? And so it really does make a big difference, because these girls who are 8s think that they're 6s, which is a massive difference. Even though it's only 2 points, it's still a huge difference.
Yeah, I think that's one of the other things, like especially for Westerners, we are not accustomed to what is the norm for beauty in those countries.
Yeah.
Because even today, like if I watch a TV show and I'm like, oh, that girl is hot.
Yeah.
And then my partner goes, she's like a 6. Because
Right.
based on the
impossible standards.
yes, right. And they have certain things that are viewed as more better looking than other things.
Yeah.
Based on their cultural standards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that also plays a big role in it. Plus, let's not forget that these girls are very human as well. And because they're so focused on their looks, when they wake up every morning and they look in the mirror and they see what they view as a monster, right? They're the version of them with no makeup, with pimples and blemishes and wrinkles and like weird shit like that. And they see this thing looking back at them like, oh no, I'm so ugly. Like, they know what they really look like. And you should too, by the way. Like, all men should understand that what you're seeing when you go out is you're seeing the Mona Lisa, and then every night she goes home and she washes that off, and then it's just a blank canvas, like a pencil sketch version in the morning, right? Like it's a totally different thing. And that's doubly true if you're dating a girl who's in some sort of entertainment or visual industry. So if she's a model, if she's an actress, if she's a singer, any of these things where like she does makeup, but then whenever they go on stage or they're recording videos or taking pictures, they do fucking makeup, and they do the photoshopping, and they do the filters, and they do all of this stuff. So like the K-pop singer that I dated before, she looks like a fucking 10 in the videos. In reality, she's a 7. You know, like she's a very pretty girl, but the difference between the two is night and day. It's stark. And I'm sure everybody's seen the before and after pictures of like of makeup YouTubers and stuff showing like how much of a difference it can make. And like, yeah, there's that. But even in just like day-to-day makeup and the way that they regularly do things. It's a drastic difference. So you should also know that the looks don't matter, man. They really don't, because it's like a nice suit on a guy. Like, it looks great, but also you're gonna take it off at the end of the day. And you're still, it's still just you sleeping in your boxers, right? Like, the suit's gone. Same with her makeup. Makeup's gone. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The kid, what's on next?
Yeah. So going off that, I'm curious, right? So given how you're saying, like, when a Westerner goes over there, right, the eights from our perception would really be sixes, right?
In
Do
their mind,
Westerners at the very least get some sort of boost, or how would like a Westerner be viewed slightly differently?
you definitely get an exotic factor. Um,
I think this is like one of those 50-50 things. Either it gives you 2 points or it loses you 2 points. It's one or the
exactly.
other.
Yeah, it's it for some girls it's a benefit. For some girls, it's a detriment, and some, they just genuinely do not care at all. Um, it, honestly, that one's a toss up. Now, what you can do is you can maximize that benefit to you, right? By going to places where, like, if Korean girls go here, they expect to meet foreigners. All right, cool. So that means she wants to meet foreigners. Or if you learn Korean at least well enough that you can be generally impressive to them, right? You don't have to be excellent, but if you can carry on a decent conversation, then you can go to places where foreigners are not expected to be. But then you get to play the I'm a foreigner, but hey, also I speak Korean, and you can kind of double dip on that. And that can add a lot to your intrigue. So figuring out how to maximize the benefits that you personally get over here is going to be the most important thing for most guys. The worst place for that is Itaewon, because almost everyone there is a foreigner. And so that's taking the, like, my first point there to an extreme, where, like, if the girls go here, they do want to meet foreigners. Yes. But that's also because they specifically have a taste for foreigners. So you don't get any exotic benefit at all. You're just, I mean, you don't get any detriment either. You're just going at +0, basically.
Yeah, and then the other thing you can do is, as you mentioned, like go to these areas that are more locals only.
Mm-hmm.
The downside there is that yes, it is generally harder because a lot of people go there because they don't want to meet foreigners.
Mm.
However, if you stand out and you are your own person, it won't matter that much. But you will have to be able to use the local languages in a lot of cases, at least.
Yeah.
The exception for Korea, because I have learned an exception there. So while everyone thinks Gangnam is very much or primarily Korean only, and that is true, a lot of places in Gangnam actually straight up refuses foreigners. But then you have the posher parts of Gangnam, like
Mhm.
Apgujeong, and then it is mostly Koreans only, like 2 or 3 foreigners. Whenever I've been there, I've met maybe 1 or 2, possibly 3 foreigners in total in a night. But everyone there speaks English
Mhm.
because all of them studied abroad.
Yeah.
And in a place like that, as a foreigner, you can actually stand out because there, even though it is less, they care less about it. However, you are also the only one, making it easier to stand out in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And wherever you're living in the city or anywhere in Korea, right? If you can find local joints by your place, then you have a good reason to be there, and people will be even more welcoming than they would normally because you're one of the locals. You live here too. Cool. Let's make friends. Let's chat. You get to know the local bartenders, or you get to know the local restaurant owners, or whatever, things like that. When I was living in Incheon, there were like two foreigner friendly bars. One was owned by a foreigner, and the other a dude who had studied abroad, right? And so those were both like the foreigner bars. But if I wanted to meet women, I mean, if I wanted to party, I went there. But if I wanted to meet women, I would go to one of the Korean bars instead. And I would go there regularly. I would go to a few of these Korean bars regularly and just, chat with the bartenders, the owners, just make friends, And then whenever I would come in with the intent of meeting women, they all had my back, and I'd walk in and be like, "Oh, Jack, how are you? How are you?" Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the girls there, who all Korean women, no foreigners there at all, except for me. And then I walk in and all eyes are on me, which, as you probably know, especially you, the kid, you definitely know this. That's where I shine. That's where I want to be, right? All eyes on me. Oh, perfect. Here we go, boys and girls. I'm a fan of the P.T. Barnum School of Marketing. There's no such thing as bad attention. So yeah, figure out, depending on yourself, your skill set, your strengths and weaknesses, where you fall in all of these different categories, right? There are too many variables to give a clear answer here, but figure out where you have the highest value, the most benefit from being a foreigner, because if you are, then there's no changing that, right? So figure out where you actually get benefit from that, rather than trying to fight against the detriments. Trying to, like, complaining about the Gangnam bars and clubs that don't let foreigners in. What a waste. What a waste. Don't bitch and moan about that. Like, even if you convince them to let you in, then what? Then what? What's your next play? Huh? Right? Like, there's no thought to that. Just like, oh, well, it's not fair, so I need to fight it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You definitely do not. You need to find the places that actually want you and are going to treat you well, but also you get the benefits of being a foreigner there. Play to your strengths, minimize the weaknesses. It's the name of the game. What's on next, big guy?
So yeah, kind of going off that, it's a similar vein. So how do you guys generally go about like finding nines and tens, right? Do you guys? I know Paul used a lot of like the online dating, right? Jack isn't a big fan of it, right? Is that an option, or is in person the only option if you're not like exceptionally good looking?
If you were a 10 and a woman, this is important, because if you're a 10 and a guy, it's a different answer. But if you're a 10 and a woman, would you even sign up for online dating? Right.
Not at all.
Right. Like, why would you? There's no benefit. There's only mental stress to be gained from it. Like, oh, fuck, I got like 5,000 messages today. Jesus, no, I'm not dealing with that. No, you don't even sign up for online dating if you are that good looking. There's no purpose to it whatsoever for them. If you're looking for the actual hottest girls, not the ones who are the best at Photoshop and the best with filters, because those girls, like, you can turn a 6 into a 9 with enough know-how, but the actual 9s and 10s aren't on there. And if they are, they might open it up like once a week, match with like one, maybe two people, and then be like, oh, sorry, already too much. Because like I said earlier, like, they are literally going through life swimming through a sea of dicks everywhere all the time. So I wouldn't try to find them there. Instead, what you do is, I mean, first of all, there's no way to find them regularly. But if you want a more reliable way of finding the prettier people, get into their industries. Honestly, other than that, it's just, do you happen to be in the right place at the right time? But if you're interested in regularly meeting 9s and 10s, you need to be in acting, you need to be in music, even if you're in the back end, like music production, you need to be working as a model, which is not nearly as difficult as it sounds, especially not in Korea. All of these are things that I have done, right? And so like that lets you know that you can work with a lot if you know what you're doing and your social skills are good enough to get you in the door. But if you're working in those industries, then you're regularly meeting those people. The goal there is not to meet and fuck your coworkers. The goal there is to meet your coworkers, get on really well with them, and have them introduce you to their pretty people. And then you can do other things from there. But as far as regularly meeting 9s and 10s, I don't know that there's a better way to go about it than that, unless you just want to go and, I don't know, I guess go to, is Octagon even still open? I think they might have gotten
Permanently closed.
Permanently closed. Okay. Well, then whatever the hottest new club is, there is a nightclub where the 9s and 10s go, but understand that you're going to need to be spending a lot of money to be doing that regularly. So that's an option. And even there, like, when girls go to those clubs, they don't go to meet someone and hook up. They go there to be seen and to take their Instagram photos there.
Yeah, to show off.
Yeah, like it's really not, the girls don't go to the nightclubs for the same reasons that guys do. And they definitely don't go to the nightclubs for the same reasons that 7s do. So know that even there, you can meet them, but your chances of making anything happen from there are minuscule, even if you have everything else going for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Like the way to the only way to regularly, or even not even regularly, like at least occasionally, and to encounter these, except for randomly meeting with someone in a bar, would be to get friends, because in this case, friends are your best bet.
Yeah.
So I got lucky when I moved to Korea the last time, and then all of a sudden I had a ex Miss Universe contender in my class. I had a couple model friends in Korea, and then I had them set me up with their friends.
Exactly.
Because then you get into the sphere, and then everything becomes kind of natural.
Yeah.
But the first thing to do then is that you actually need to prove to this person that you can actually behave yourself.
Yeah, that you're not going to lose your shit in a
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that is an important thing as well. And like that's one of the principles that I went over in the lesson. And social circle is definitely one of the better ways to meet at least some of the prettier people, because again, right, like these girls aren't going on dating apps. They aren't because why would they, right? There's no benefit to them at all. It's just,
and rule of thumb is, if you find one on a dating app, it's either a bot or it's a 6 that has spent 4 hours on every picture.
Yeah. If you find someone who seems just extraordinarily good looking and has matched with you, it's one of those two. More likely, it's a bot or a scam or an OnlyFans thing or something. You know, like it's something else. But yeah, I wouldn't rely on dating apps. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't rely on dating apps, period, because I genuinely don't think that they deliver as much value as anything else you do. But if you
I-
do, then know that
I-
there aren't 9s and 10s there.
Yeah, but I would say they can deliver a lot for newer guys to the game
Yeah,
because they can more consistently at least get you on dates than, especially in the early
yeah,
career of your game life.
yeah. That's
Um,
very true.
and then, but that also comes the condition that you're actually built for being on apps. Because on apps, if you're a 4 or 5, you won't succeed on apps at all.
Yeah.
Like you need to be on the higher end of the scale, at least 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s. That is okay.
Yeah.
But if you're like a 5 or a 4, you will have a very poor experience.
Yeah.
And the second problem there is you need to know which apps to use because they are very, very different.
Yeah, knowing by the way, the kid, we have a video that we made the other night with Julius and Brandon that the phone we were recording with the phone and the space kept being filled up, and so it's like clips basically, but we might be able to salvage some of that stuff and
Okay.
and put up a video for like breaking down what are the different apps like in Korea, how can you best use them, what do you use them for, things like that. So we do have some content about that is in the works, but is going to need a very fine touch to make it watchable.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying for people in Korea,
Mm.
Tinder is just out the window.
I mean,
There
I've been
is-
saying that since 2015, man.
And I can tell based on the data, it's like what, 1 girl per 100 dude or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
It's an absolute shit show. And yeah, I cannot recommend Tinder at all. Yeah, X2 Crow agrees. He says Tinder sucks in Korea 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does. The kid, what's up? What's next? You're better off on Hello Talk or Meef. Yeah, and Meef to a far lesser extent now than it was before. It used to just be an absolute fucking digital elysium. It didn't have ads. It didn't have hookers, scammers, bots, because it just wasn't popular enough yet for any of that stuff to be profitable. And so everyone on there was awesome. Plus, I love that you can, on Meef, you can actually set filters for nationality and for languages. So like, no. I only want Korean nationals who their native language is Korean. I don't want anything else. Perfect. So the kid, what's next?
That's actually about it. Those are all the questions I had.
Beautiful. Well, in that case, I think that we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So, boys, thank you for joining today. For those of you watching, thank you. I'm glad to see you all. Let's finish it up with one final cheers with chaps.
Cheers.
And that's where we're going to end it for today. So, if you guys haven't yet, join the community. There's a link below here in the description where you can see you can see all the guys from around the world. You can talk to all of us, ask your questions, get your answers every week. That's where we take the questions for this Q&A from. So if there are any questions you have, they don't even have to be related to the topic. You can go into the Discord chat right now and you can ask a question in there. And I mean, there's not time now, but next week we'll put it on the list and we'll answer it live for you here. So join the community if you haven't yet. And Make sure, hit the like, the comment, the subscribe, all the fun stuff. Feed the algorithm. I really actually don't care all that much, but it does help. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and finish up for today. And until next week, boys, Papa Jack out.